Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's continue our game of Hermitage Strange Case Files on Nintendo Switch. Oh, that's a new game. No. Oh, I gotta wait for it to load. Okay, I don't want to do this. Load this. Let's see. Secondly, the method he used to create these emotions must have a direct connection to those rumors. I don't believe he went to all that trouble just to play us for fools. Also, we have already seen his rituals. He is indeed much more skilled and versed in these unknown arts than any of us. He has both the motivation and the means to do it. This event must be even bigger in size than the last one, though I can't even begin to fathom how he intends to do something more excessive than removing a city from existence. To disappear would mean the end. It's as simple as that. Anyway, I think he's trying to use rumors to spread fear again, this time in an even more extreme manner than at Tora Memorial. Tell me, Detective, what kind of scenario would meet all of these conditions? Christmas Eve is drawing near, and preparations are already underway. Among one of the most anticipated events this year is, of course, the city's very own traditional annual Christmas parade. This year's parade, in particular, has attracted worldwide attention due to the participation of very important political summit members. It is shaping up to be the biggest and most record-shattering Christmas parade yet. The departments in charge have said that they will do their very best to ensure it will be a peaceful parade that everyone can enjoy. Much effort is being put into keeping the streets safe. It's a citywide event, one that would be perfect to remind everyone of all the rumors that have been floating around. The perfect opportunity to spread panic. First comes a prophecy, then witnesses to it, then belief. That's the order of things. What he wants is an actual apocalypse. If that's his plan, we may still stand a chance. I glance at a book on my desk and suddenly feel a weird sense of compassion for the man who has done so much evil. There's no room for error now. Fear and despair, huh? Let's show him just how desperate we are. So, why did you ask me to come out here? Sorry, sister. I know you're really busy lately, but I just can't do this on my own. Never mind that. What's more interesting in knowing why you called upon me out of the blue? What's going on? Well, you know... I'm sorry, but the store manager asked me to keep it a secret. All I can say is that it's really important. I see. Really important. Sister, please believe me. That's enough. I just have one condition. Whenever you ask me for help, don't apologize first. Huh? It's just something you shouldn't do, understand? Okay. So tell me, what does that cold-hearted guy want us to do? A place where two paths meet, with trees on either side? Damn, why don't these stores have any house numbers? First floor, glass windows, often closed, with a sign. Alright, looks like you're playing hermit. What the hell's going on here? Anyone here? Can I come in? There's no need to knock. The store manager's out on business, so we're closed. Really? I seem to be really unlucky today. So, this is what you look like in person. No. I mean, I don't think so. You're Justin's friend, right? I guess so. What's your name? Neko. We can skip the pleasantries. You can take a look around upstairs. Alright, seems interesting. That's your plan? That's right. Since the boss doesn't want anyone to interfere, we have to hit each of them pretty hard. So, how will this go? You're simply planning to demolish the house, right? I can't believe there were actual pictures. If you want to set this up yourself, at least do it properly, okay? Sorry, my grades were never that good. That's the best I can do. At least you're not ashamed to ask for help. What are these big piles for? You know, we don't want to put a big hole in the columns. Stop. Do you consider yourself immortal? Where'd you get this thing? I just copied it from somewhere. If it works, right? I think it's pretty simple. Don't you think that dangerous smoke bomb... Well, didn't you do that dangerous smoke bomb thing? One thing leads to another. The principle of the atomic bomb is quite simple. Why don't you get me some yellow cake and I'll make one for you? Yellow cake? What is that? Is it edible? I really can't communicate with you. Please, Neko. You can be completely in command. Please help me. Wow, who would even want to be your commander? You really have no intention of giving up, do you? Sorry, I just can't help it. Forget it. Being angry at you isn't worth it. Well, it's my fault. If I were better at fighting, I wouldn't have to bother you at all. I'm not sure how much of a pain in the ass this is going to be. I would say it's become quite a problem for everyone. I'll leave it at that. Are you sure the guys will be happy to help? What else is there to do but grovel and beg? When the time comes, that's what has to be done. No, I mean, they are. There's no difference between you, me, or them. Everyone is the same. I have a point, even if you have no reason to believe it. If you're going to say men who have fought together are friends or something like that, save your breath. Then why are you doing this? Well, what are your chances of winning without this? Slim at most. I thought so. So let's go. Go? Where? To get you some materials, of course, you big idiot. I'm going to be busy for the rest of the month, so prepare yourselves. And don't worry, I'm prepared. This is the last battle. We have to give it our all, right? I don't know, a lot of time's passing. Here you go. This is... The stuff in that abandoned factory was unexpectedly stable. Wait, the stuff found in that abandoned factory was unexpectedly usable. Toggle this knob to adjust the intensity, then press here to... Hey, that's dangerous. So, this is the lowest intensity. No wonder the monkey took out everyone single-handedly. This is too extravagant to be used as a simple taser. If it had used it, we wouldn't have survived at all. True. But in this case, did the owner of this gun release the monkey? It's been abandoned for a long time, and it doesn't make sense to think about it chronologically, unless it's been there all along. But that wouldn't explain why the people who took over the factory left it lying around. Besides, it saved the manager a year ago, right? If it ended up getting out of there, how did it get into the factory? What happened back then? This is causing me a headache. Nothing adds up. Oh, we'll work on it later. Well, we don't have time to get into this right now. Well, at least Yasmin and that thing probably won't hurt us. I'll have Zach to thank for that. And by the way, what have those guys been up to lately? There's so many things waiting to be done for that project. Cecile is always disappearing, and I don't think Eloise will be able to make it. Why don't you ask them for me? And that could backfire. But I guess the others are pretty busy. What's going on? Nothing. I'm just a little nervous. It happens. Come on, take a deep breath with me. Exhale, inhale. Stop it. I'm teaching you a valuable lesson, a life lesson here. One can only do one thing well at a time. So if you're too busy working about other nonsense, what will happen to your main task? That's true, but I don't see people as cabbages like you do. Oh, well, you don't usually have access to this place. Don't worry, the so-called officials are just mortals with high hats. Since they have ears and mouths, we have a way out. Sounds like a criminal manifesto. From another perspective, this could be called a flexible approach. I'm perfectly aware of your philosophy when it comes to life. There's no need to remind me. That's right. Besides, you know why you're here, don't you? So many audits in 1 month. That guy's requests are always pretty challenging. You and I wouldn't be able to do something that difficult on our own. That's why we're standing here together, so stop feeling sorry for yourself, detective. Are you sure you want to continue calling me a detective? You're really getting into this, aren't you? So what's next for our company representative, Mr. Justin? What's next? It's time for the audience to see how exciting our game will be. No matter how strange the journey, time doesn't stand still for Zach. The young, temperamental teen leans against the pillar. He presses his forehead against the cold metal to keep himself up on his feet. He needs to be ready for what comes next. Still not here yet? This decoy should do the trick. In Zach's opinion, the store manager's plan is crude and simplistic, but it looks like it might just work. No matter what, he knows someone will try and stop him. During the final moments of last year, he experienced what spiritual transformation really means. If Dan saw the same images, it's clear how he would act. Which expression should I wear? How should I act when I face him? Zach keeps asking himself. Obviously, anger towards Dan drives him, but there are other underlying feelings as well. This isn't just about winning or losing. On a deeper emotional level, Zack feels like Dan owes him some answers. Dan has never mentioned a reason for his vile actions. Zack is scared that if he doesn't find out, he'll end up missing something important and grow up to be no better than Dan. He doesn't want that to happen. Huh? His target finally arrives. Dan looks even taller than last time. The giant man's imposing silhouette looks almost beast-like in the dark moonlight that illuminates the factory. As always, Dan has shown up unarmed, but Zack remains on high alert and won't let himself get distracted for even a second. No more slacking off. Though his throat is completely dry, Zack swallows out of sheer nervousness and clenches his sweaty fists. He doesn't want to show any fear, especially not now. It's amazing how much effort you put into repairing that piece of junk. What a vivid imagination. You're really full of yourself, huh? Are you proud of yourself for not even giving us a chance to fight? Ha ha ha. Sounds like you haven't given this much thought. You want to wait until the whole world's on fire before cozying up in a time machine? What other option is there? Do you want us to point shotguns at your head again? Take a look at yourself. Just how naive are you? You're too far gone. Now, Dan is nothing more than a monster that just so happens to have a humanoid shape. His face is barely visible, and Zack only recognizes him because of the repulsive scent that accompanies him wherever he goes. Come on, why so rude? I would say I'm looking mighty fine and in good shape today, wouldn't you agree? Unlike those two lucky brats, I had to work 1,000 times harder to get this thing to work. It's easy once you get used to it. Maybe you should give it a try. You know, at first I thought you may just be a victim too. Turns out I couldn't have been more wrong. Nothing about you is human anymore, neither your body nor your brain. Zack's comments make Dan break out in thunderous, condescending laughter. So what? Before I turned into this, I was trying to do the right thing, trying to fix things, just like you are right now. What do you do with an alien machine that you don't understand, except pray to it like a primitive caveman? Dan, being the one to initiate a conversation, is unexpected. Zack tries his best to hide his nervousness. Oh yeah, the photos Neko posted online sure seem to be useful. Considering the fact that there is supposedly nothing we can do, you should spend a lot of time, your free time making special trips just for us. You're full of yourself, but you should really learn to think before you speak. How could you not know what I've been through? Even if I'm starting to forget now, I still remember a lot of things that you've done. Saying this reminds Zack of Yasmin, and he regrets having said anything. He swallows the bitter side of his mouth and continues. I think it's safe to say the intricacies of that thing in the basement are no secret to either of us. Oh, what great heroic lines, you little punk. How long have you been rehearsing that script? You know, I keep seeing your face every time I go to sleep. It's what's been driving me all this time. In a true soldier's hands, a blade and a gun are equally dangerous. Zack grasps the object in his pocket and steps out of the shadows to face Dan. I don't want to be a coward anymore. Oh, but you are, and you always will be. You'll change your mind soon enough. No matter how many times I fail, I will come back here and tell you the same thing over and over. The machine downstairs seems to be malfunctioning, and the beeps echoing through the room are growing increasingly louder. This gives Zack the last bit of courage he needs to irritate his opponent. Care to guess how many times this has happened before? Dan arches his body slightly, as if he wasn't actually playing serious until now. This one little movement completely changes the atmosphere. There's no turning back now. Zack's neck stiffens. He's determined to keep Dan in his direct line of sight. I hope you understand what you're doing. Yeah, I do. So well, in fact, that I can't help but feel like a fool for not having done this earlier. No regrets then, huh? I don't want to hear you complain. You won't. A stoic type. I like that. Well, you... just die. And just like that, Zack swings his fist one last time. I guess this is my exercise for the year. Once again, I wipe the sweat off my forehead and lean against the railing to catch my breath. This is Mato Metropolitan Tower, the tallest building in the entire city. Something somebody once said to me made me decide to climb this tower. There's no elevator to the top, making it a journey that my knees may never forgive me for in this lifetime. The security corridor is completely empty. I saw the occasional cigarette butt or two lying in a corner on the lower floors, but I'm so high up now that everything looks as if no one else has ever been here before. We've all seen buildings like this get hijacked in movies countless times. Though corporate espionage is hard to prevent, companies never skimp on money for security. Buildings like this have security companies keeping a watchful eye on them day and night. However, it's Christmas, and even those with the most thankless jobs need some time to breathe and be with their families. That's why today's security measures are nowhere near as tight as they usually are. Or maybe there's another reason security is so lax. The security door to the rooftop is unlocked. I push it open and stare up into the ray of moonlight. I am greeted not only by the wind and a lone figure standing there in silence. You're late, manager. Don't say that. It's not like we had an appointment. Oh, but we did, in a way. Would you not say so? You and I have had a lot of business together. Now the time has come for some closure for the both of us. It took me a while to shake that feeling of disgust I felt after I found out you'd been using me as your pawn all along. Once I did that, the job became easier. That is nice. It should be easy. I did not pay you any salary after all. I can't see anything suspicious yet. I approach him with the utmost caution, ready for anything. I was a wanted man all around the world for a whole year, all because of you and your ridiculous plan. You don't possibly expect me to be thankful for that, do you? But you met some marvelous people and made some friends as a result, did you not? If it meant sheltering them from all this madness, I would gladly choose not to know any of them. You asking such a question and actually meaning it only shows that your brain is twisted. You've gone off the rails. You can say whatever you want. I won't stop you. Just know at this point, nothing you say or do will be of any consequence. It is futile to waste your time thinking about what-if scenarios. You sound pretty convinced that you've already won. Indeed I do, because I know that you can't stop me. So, now you pretend I'm just a fool who lacks the common sense, is that it? What a sudden change of tone. Yet it is true. As beings bound by time and shackled to its whims, our brains are too young, too naive to be considered special in any way, shape, or form. Yeah? I'm actually pretty proud of who I am. And I dare you to use that proud little brain of yours. It should soon become apparent even to you that victory has long been decided. He doesn't pay attention to my movements at all. He just stands still, snipping his fingers. The indescribable color emerges in front of him once again and begins to expand. It looks much larger than ever before, a restless swirl of rhythmic colors all over its surface. Despite the cold gust of wind blowing across the rooftop, a burning sensation clings to my eyes and my skin. I can't shake it off. Our worst fears are starting to become reality. I'm scared to even think about how many lives are being taken all over the city right now. I should have known something was seriously wrong from the moment that hole opened up at the riverside viewing platform. Oh, please. I would not have allowed you to settle at Hermitage if I had not been 100% sure you were the right one. Oh, what a way of putting it. You really had it planned out, right down to your whole act. What about your old friends you keep talking about? That was just more bullshit you fed me, wasn't it? No, not at all. They actually do exist. Or rather, existed. Quite an interesting bunch, I have to say. Thanks to them, I was able to search the planet for the right signs. My immaculate vision would not have come true so easily if it had not been for their help. They were on the right path, but the knowledge was lacking. The devil is in the details, you know. They were but a few baby steps away from success, yet when I tried to help point them in the right direction, I ran into some difficulties. Everyone went crazy before the ritual was finished, which had to do with a lack of fuel, obviously. And what is your plan this time? Do you want to let this colorful cloud of yours drain the whole city dry like you did a year ago? The closer it is to being complete and fully nurtured, the less it thirsts for lives. However, its mature form possesses another really important characteristic. And you have your very dedicated friends to thank for that. The grand darkness is blooming in the sky, covering almost the entire building. The sudden outburst lasts for only a short moment, and it's much less aggressive than in the past. After a few quick flashes of lightning, the sky goes silent again. My eyes aren't that easily deceived. This darkness doesn't belong to the night. It is an illusion whose only purpose is to hide something evil. Though the light of the moon and stars is glowing faintly through its dark veil, it is still nothing more than a poor imitation of the real thing. Did you know the it that appears in all historical records over the ages is the same being? It is spatio-temporarily discontinuous, something that was born infinite times and has died just as many deaths, but it always maintains the same characteristics, which is why it has been studied by civilization after civilization through the ages. Standing on the shoulders of my unfortunate predecessors, I had an idea. Since it isn't limited by space and time, could it be possible that every possible moment, at whatever location, is connected to this being? thinking of it as a makeshift string telephone. If someone talks in one side of the cup, the other side to which the string is attached makes a sound. In a way, the talking is happening in two different spatial locations at the same time. What if this same theory of talking can be applied to rituals? If it existed long enough, it would be everywhere at once in the universe. In that case, we would not be dealing with two different spatial locations at the same time. We would be dealing with all spatial locations at all times. With the tools at my disposal, I can use people's fears and their despair to light a beacon on the planet, to light the way for the greatest being I want to attract. But this beacon needs to be so unbelievably bright, it is simply not possible to make it all come together at the same point in time. And this is my purpose. I had to find a way. I need this beacon to be however big it needs to be. The destruction of Torah was just that tiny speck of light, a small spark in the grand scheme of things. Its shadow is still far away, lingering in the sky, and the light of a small city can only draw it so far. This pitiful world is so fragile that time and space would disintegrate, and planets would collapse before the beacon reaches the necessary brightness. So I decided to do this step by step. By using the fracture in space and time to initiate rituals at different points in time to attract this great being, and simultaneously allowing them to happen here, I can gather fuel in a relatively safe and stable environment. It is here that the real, actual beacon is being lit. It has not arrived yet, and I'm still lying in wait on the other side of the gate. People will see this gate being torn down. They will bear witness as everything around them deteriorates and crumbles, thus providing me with a constant stream of fear. All this sounds unbelievably complicated, does it not? You cannot imagine the time and effort I put into setting this up. The imagery his twisted plan conjures up into my mind sends shivers down my spine. Why? Why persist for so long? Because of the deal that was made, the promise that was given. I spent most of my life studying the ancients and their successful exchanges of words with beings far greater than us, until I realized that their appetite is more insatiable than anyone who came before me even realized. What was promised? The life of the person I love the most. I'm not sure. I'm not some great scholar, nor am I part of some mythical esoteric religion. I had a job as a teacher in Lucerne, had friends, family. If things had turned out different, I'm sure I would have grandchildren by now. You know as well as I do that nobody respects a lunatic who squats in alleys and chants. Completely confused, I wanted to stay away from all those weird stories, the occult and the esoteric. I wasn't going to let desperation drive me there. But in the end, I succumbed to it. If this is what it takes to bring her back from the dead, so be it. Nothing else matters. So, that's when you started praying to them? Believe me, I've tried. Prayers don't work. They aren't gods. They're just another collective group of beings that exist far outside the realm of our awareness. To us, they appear mysterious and all-powerful, but that is not how they see themselves. They do not want to rule. They have no concept of domination. What we think of them and our perception of them is absolutely worthless. A single-minded search would never lead anywhere. Some of them have their own rules and judgments. The codex so strange it makes no sense to us. It is not up to us to understand it, but to accept it. Is that why a pact has to be made? Reason and knowledge helped me see the way. That is the one thing I have modern civilization to thank for. You did what you did without hesitation, while lacking important information. I dare say reason and rationality aren't your stronger suits. They are like incredibly complex functions, and I look for answers to them in all sorts of ways. I had to rely on experience from the results to slowly make sense of it all, like a primitive barbarian. That is what they offer. And you're willing to sacrifice everything for it. Like I said, our thoughts and values are worthless, but who knows what they are thinking. I'm starting to understand a little, I think. But there must be a more important reason, right? Despite the fact that he keeps mentioning reasons and speaks clearer than he has ever done before, every word of that comes out of his mouth. Every word that comes out of this man's mouth reeks with the stench of madness, a madness no amount of fancy words could hide. An axe murderer in a neat suit and tie is still an axe murderer at the end of the day. I haven't uttered a single lie, not about my origin, nor about my love. I have never stopped loving my sweet Leone. She was the gentlest soul of all, and if you had known her, you would understand my decision. It's just that, having seen things for what they are and their actual scope, this place is no longer big enough for me. Is that what you want to do? To run away from the world you're from? Leave it all behind? No. I just want to transform it into a more eye-opening place. The The rules be chaotic. All order will be reversed. An environment much better suited to host what we can't grasp. A price well worth paying. Even if that price includes everything we know. I don't think I need to repeat myself. You've shown your true colors. I can tell you were being honest just now. Now I can be absolutely sure you're nothing more than a sadistic idiot. Moral judgments now? So what if I am? It changes nothing. Huh. Of course it does. Just like this. I pull out the cube I've been carrying around all this time and press the button on it as I point it at the deliverer. The white light is as dazzling as ever, and it pierces the air with a roar that sounds like an electric whip cracking against the ground. Its bundled energy is thrown towards its target. He is hit full force and his body turns stiff, sparks flying across it. In less than half a second, he has turned blacker than carbon. His limp body falls to the ground. He reeks of burnt organic matter, a vile stench I instinctively frown at. It actually worked. Is it a little early to be making that kind of declaration? What? He steps out of a dark corner and stands beside his tattered body, giving it a light kick with his foot. The target I hit is bubbling all over, its form crumbling into a flowing mass. This is not how a human body would react to a hit like that. That was a great shot. It's probably going to stay down for a while. You've been using it as a stand-in? You were in a similar situation yourself just a month ago. It seems a little inappropriate for you to be surprised by something like this, don't you think? I admit, I'm a little disappointed that this is truly all you prepared. Do you have any further tricks up your sleeve now that it has all come to this? Or did you ever think you would come this far? How about you take a guess? Get him. The black shadow sweeps over me and wraps themselves around my body. Let go of me. My struggle is futile, and the black fleshy mass isn't budging so much as an inch. Its iron grip around me is even tighter. The disparity in power between man and monster is so great that once you lose the upper hand for even a second, the outcome is basically decided. My apologies, but things are about to begin. He snaps his fingers at the sky as he speaks. Ripples go through the darkness around us before it starts to change. No incantations, no prayers, no eccentricities of any kind. His style is unlike any other practicing scholar I've ever met. Concise, dry, and utterly emotionless. His sole focus lies in reaching his ultimate goal. He does not expect me to understand, but he himself has no doubts. His resolve never falters. That's the scariest thing about him. A lanky foreigner opens and closes his mouth, as if he were speaking to someone, something that isn't there. The aggressive waves in the air reverse their direction and disappear without a trace. My head, however, is fiercely pulsating, but like it's trying to warn me of a danger of unfathomable proportions that is rapidly approaching. Please, just stay right where you are. I have made sure to save you a fantastic seat. He turns his head and leisurely gives me a slight tip of his hat. After all, staying where you are and not doing anything is the smartest choice you could make at this point. Another sharp piece of metal flies right past Zach's skull. It's a steel pipe that is now buried in the pillar next to him. A regular old steel pipe wouldn't be that scary in itself, but the fact that it pierced a solid concrete pillar easily is enough to make him gulp. Zach doesn't linger in the same spot for long, and the next wave of attacks quickly follows. He rolls across the ground to evade them. This time, the whole pillar comes down. It crashes to the ground with the force of a cannonball, spinning and bouncing several times until it disappears out of Zach's sight. Dan clearly hasn't been aiming properly, or rather, he's been teasing Zach all this time. He's been hanging around the same spot, throwing every object he can find in Zach's direction. This is obviously far beyond the power of a normal human being. Zach feels like he is playing hide-and-seek with a living tank. Although he is more familiar with the terrain and quicker on his feet, he can't shake the feeling of helplessness that dominates his subconscious. What's going on, huh? Show me how fast you are. Shit. Spare me your small talk. Less talk, more action. A cable reels towards Zach with the velocity of a rocket launcher. He dodges it, but its heavy side wheel hits his left shoulder. You've been running around like a nimble little monkey. You feel so at home at this place already? If only you knew. The factory's no place for children to play in. Watch out for collapsing ceilings. The ceiling does not fully collapse, but the heavy concrete pillars are broken free from its cables. It all comes crashing down, ready to crush anything beneath it. It is a trap, one that's supposed to bring this encounter with Dan to a swift and violent end. Dan notices, but that doesn't stop him. Crap. Zack can hear his companion cursing. The detective, who's been hiding in the shadows, is the one who triggered the trap. In addition to helping the store manager with the production of the item, Cecile, Zack, and Justin spent over 2 weeks gathering materials and settling everything up inside the factory so that they could have enough tricks up their sleeves for this particular encounter. Limited in the number of uses and not exactly accurate, it's still the only way to fight an opponent as rash and fearless as this. Sorry, it doesn't seem like it's high enough. Justin is standing in the shadows on one side of the broken pile of debris and quietly apologizes to Zack. Don't worry, we've got other options. You're pretty good with traps. I'm impressed. Where'd you learn all this? From a TV show. Can you believe that? You're a good learner, then. If you like it so much, I'm sure this will impress you as well. In sync with Zack's words, Justin pulls a second rope. This time a spear made of numerous sharpened steel pipes rams down from the opposite direction. While coming up with this plot, Zack didn't forget about Dan's physical abilities. Zack knows not to bet all your chips onto the same thing, which is why he and his companions have laid out a series of traps all along the route. This whole setup would be enough to hunt down an elephant. In fact, the improvised crossbow frame for firing the steel pipes uses thick spring plates recovered from old trucks. The projectile's poundage is hard to measure, but it damn sure is heavy. Strange enough, it seems as if Dan has no intention of moving out of the way at all. How cute! What is that? The massive bolt does indeed pierce through Dan, but he doesn't move. The wound caused by the massive kinetic energy neither bleeds nor is torn open. Instead, the projectile smoothly pierces through him as if it meant no resistance at all. Dan chuckles as he reaches out and bends the exposed part to break it off. Zack can't even begin to imagine where the rest of the projectile of that Dan swallowed has gone. Useless. Despite all of the obstacles separating himself and his opponent, Zack is sweating profusely. Dan, however, ignores Zack and looks up at the ceiling with a piercing gaze. All that heat. Looks like there's something going on up there too. Isn't that right? What did you say? You heard me. I know exactly why you led me straight to this very spot. Crap, you knew all along? You're obviously stalling for time. There aren't enough distractions for me not to notice that. But you know what, boy? Feel free to stall as long as you want. I'm enjoying myself. I rarely get a chance to enjoy this much, so of course I want this to last a little longer. Arrogant and overconfident as always, huh? There's still plenty of fun to go around. Don't worry about that. Everyone has their limits, kiddo. I'm not saying I'm the exception to that rule. What I'm saying is that what you consider to be the limit is where the fun starts for me. Or are these cowards on the sidelines your big genius plan? Intimidated by Dan's mocking statements, Zack doesn't respond. The others are lying in wait, holding their breath, waiting for their chance to strike. Zack knows how worthless their attempts would be without the element of surprise. Responding would mean admitting it, but staying stubborn wouldn't change a thing. What's with that mean look in your eyes? I'm sorry. I thought for a second you had a grand plan to prey on the predator, but I underestimated just how simple you are. Even if they were once your companions, you don't actually think these abominable monsters will be your friends in the long run, do you? Come on, be realistic. Some changes can't be reverted. You're one to talk. That's the exact reason you don't have any friends, right? Enough of this. Let's see who's preying on who, shall we? In sync with Zack's threat, the ambushers rise up to reveal their weapons. They aren't in a good position to attack. Zack knows that they will try to swarm Dan, taking advantage of their height and unusually large bodies to overwhelm him. Momentum and speed are often key in a fight, much more so than thorough strategy. These street gang delinquents have forgotten many things, but their way of survival is engraved in their bones. Even transformed, they are still as resistant as ever. Despite the fact that they are very different from their past selves, they're still driven by the courageous heat blazing in their hearts. Perhaps to boost morale or to intimidate their enemy, they keep roaring with their deep, rumbling voices. The sound no longer bears any resemblance to a human voice. Zack plants his feet firmly on the ground, resisting the instinctive fear welling up inside of him. What now, big guy? How about it? Dan's reaction is not at all what Zack imagined. Even in the face of impending danger, Dan has always laughed it off so far. This time he isn't smiling, and his expression is cold and serious. His ominous silence freezes the air, and after what feels like an eternity, he speaks again. Listen up, kid. I'll explain something to you about what it means to be human. Humans have brains. They can use tools. They can form families. They can get together and form groups. They have to eat, drink, dress, and sleep. Such is the burden of being human. But those guys, they're different. They no longer have a place in society. Nothing's waiting for them out there in this cold world. And as long as they're wearing that skin, they will never be able to live as normal human beings. They'll be hunted down, despised by all. There's only one way out of this, and that is to give up this old identity and build a new home. If anyone tries to get in the way of that, they'll be killed. That is the way of life of anything alien in this world. Things may have been different in the past, but now that we unquestionably rule the world, there's no room to make peace. There's no middle ground. Survival of the fittest. Bunny, you don't strike me as someone who would choose the underdog side. I'm not, but she is. That little girl is much more advanced than any of you. Yasmin? Can she still have a normal life after being influenced by that thing? Have you asked yourself that? You probably don't even really care about her, do you? You only think about yourselves. You're like that, and I'm like that. Everyone is. There's no real difference between us. That's why the world's so cruel. Tell me what... Hold on a minute. Tell me what a place like this is worth if it doesn't even take mercy on a child. No. Zach's heart suddenly starts pounding in his chest. It's not because of Dan's words. It's because something has started happening outside the window without him noticing. A strange presence is peeking inside. The realization suddenly hits Zach, although he can't perceive what exactly it is. He doesn't know what it is. All he knows is that it exists. Cold sweat is dripping from his body. Someone ignorant to it all may not have felt a thing, but Zach heard the store manager talk about the plan. Because of that, he can only think of one thing that must have be happening out there, and it's terrifying. Look, seems like you've already failed. What exactly are you two planning to do? Don't bunch me together with that rambling loon. I don't care what he thinks. I just need his results. Once everything turns to chaos and the laws of time cease to exist, things will happen all on their own. But then, Yasmin won't have to worry about the secret she's been carrying with her any longer. And you're willing to destroy everything just for that? Enough is enough. I won't let you take that away too. The giant man breaks a steel pipe off the wall and throws it like a javelin. It grazes Zach's scalp and flies out of sight. Zach's companion seems startled by the attack, and fear begins to bubble up inside of him. If you want to side with them, go ahead. Try and be friends with them. But this naivete will get you killed. If not today, then tomorrow. There will be retribution. His back to the wall, Zach grits his teeth and tries to keep a clear head, pushing dark thoughts aside. Don't talk as if you've been holding back all this time. Haha, you'll get what's coming to you soon enough. Don't you worry. Let's go then. They won't be able to turn this situation if they keep letting Dan rant on like this. After weighing his options, Zach decides there's only one way to go, and his companions seem to be thinking the same thing. Zach's half-human, half-fish companions leap high into the air and throw themselves at the laughing man. The difference in strength would usually make this a suicide mission, but they seem to be betting on their strength in numbers. The smallest of openings could be enough to target Dan's vital spots. The former delinquents, formerly all brawn over brains, have developed an understanding of tactics and know that working together is key. This means everyone, without exception, is on the move. Zach picks up a crowbar from the ground and rushes towards Dan. You punks don't really think you can beat me like this, do you? For the first time, Dan's expression changes as he faces the assault. He looks up with narrowed eyes, most likely to count the number of incoming attackers. There's no doubt that he completely miscalculated Zach's intentions. It's finally time to pay for every single despicable deed he has done. Zach clutches his weapon tightly as his feet hit the ground running. Now, Cecile. Ah, what's that sound? Without warning, the floor in front of Zach turns into a magnificent bright display of fireworks. Cecile looks down at the button she just pressed with a baffled expression, beads of sweat are dripping from her forehead. Zach never said just how big the explosion was going to be. Was that maybe a bit too much? Do you know what I've always despised? People who choose not to face the unknown. using meaningless terms such as awe and respect as an excuse. Those people are fools, giving into their ignorance. I know that whatever power is out there, no matter how grand, I can take advantage of it simply by upholding my rational thinking. It does not matter how small and weak I am. I will never have to bow down to worship anything or anyone. At least that used to be my way of thinking until I experienced all of this. It was in that moment that I realized that worshipping greatness has nothing to do with pride or right or wrong. Ultimately, worship is actually the nature of all wisdom.
Are you trying to justify all this somehow?
No, that is no importance to me. He is standing on the edge of the rooftop, staring into the distance as if to reminisce about past events. When I first observed it and beheld its splendor, I was a little luckier than the others, seeing as I did not fall unconscious. It was deep in the dense jungle of a remote uninhabited mountain range, at a lake where we performed a small-scale ritual to experiment with the methods we found in ancient scriptures. In fact, it did not appear in a physical sense at all. We merely glimpsed it swimming between dimensions through the reflection created by the ritual on the water's surface. Projecting a small hint of its existence was enough to evaporate most of the lake. It was nowhere near as clear back then as it is right now. It took me a long time to perfect this, so long to interpret things in the right way, so as not to repeat the foolish mistakes of those that came before me. I have paved the way for it successfully. This shape, I like to refer to it as the answer itself. You may not believe this, but it is utterly perfect, infallible, immaculate. You cannot begin to imagine. In the midst of this storm of ecstasy, I can feel the cosmos all around me paying attention to this very event. There are so many beings throughout the universe who, like me, sacrifice everything to finally see it, to catch a glimpse of it. I am not alone. Just like me, they are seekers of purpose. Many of them have abandoned their superficial pretensions long before me, offering up all they have and all they are in search of it. I sought dialogue with them, and some of them responded. All thoughts converged in that reflection, communicating with each other. It was then that I truly realized how narrow-minded and outdated my way of thinking was in the past. I analyzed the work of others to find out where they had failed, digging deeper into these secrets than they had ever dared. Even if their rituals never fully succeeded in one place, the sum of them cannot transcend the limits of the world's capacity and make it a reality. Every ritual is meaningful in that sense. This will be an encounter never witnessed before, never to be witnessed again. I'm afraid my mortal body of flesh and blood would never suffice for even the smallest step of this plan. I have a limited lifespan, and my knowledge is nothing more in the grand scheme of things. All I care with me is an idea.
This explains his appearance. The bizarre ripples pulsating on and around his body are proof that he has left humanity behind. I tried to extend my right hand, but the black mass wrapped around me senses it instantly. It tightens its grip and wrenches my fingers away, forcibly knocking the cube out of my hand. He doesn't seem particularly concerned about this sudden outburst, and patiently waits for his sinister assistant to finish its work before resuming his speech as if nothing happened. In order to accomplish my ultimate goal, I borrowed these very effective helpers. As far as help is concerned, theirs is not rooted in Samaritan generosity. Once more, it is an investment. If I fail to provide my worth, and I am unable to produce the wanted results, I lose all value to them. In that case, these two servants will be the first to abandon me. I can no longer discern between myself and these abominations of black flesh. Who is who? I'm afraid the deeper I go, the closer certain doom encroaches. I am a liar, a filthy liar. My rituals are nowhere near as elaborate as those conducted in the past. All of this deception in the eyes of it? The more I think about that, and the closer I step towards the inevitable, the bigger my fear of it grows. But after tonight, this nightmare too shall end. He points at the sky above him with a look of melancholic nostalgia in his eyes. It is the look of someone who is reuniting with their closest friends one last time on their deathbed, filled with deep affection. When I caught a glimpse of the black seas of infinity, I finally understood one thing. I am... No, never mind. That has nothing to do with you. He stops talking altogether. But I have bigger things to worry about right now. I don't know exactly how long it's been since his last ritual, although the most recent one was at Torah. That was recent only for me. I'm not sure of the chronological order in which he acted. Though his first ritual was long ago, just a short distance of time travel is already very disorienting, and I can't imagine how someone who is used to it perceives the concept of sequences. Repeated, incomplete rituals at different points in time, brought together by a presence across time and space. That's the plan he just told me about, but time isn't everything. Every single ritual requires energy, a source of fuel, so to speak, in order to work.
He only knows how to use fear to brighten the beacon, and always leaves an entry point for the empty space in front of him to connect to space and time right before the ritual fails due to the lack of energy. Teaching the villagers back then, as well as the shipwreck in Manila, must have required all sorts of arduous, painstaking preparation. Even his ritual at Torah, which came to a tragic and violent end, was delayed by 3 whole years, all because of the interference of a bunch of kids. These rituals must be incredibly hard to pull off. Him standing here right now is proof that all he has done, and of everywhere he's been, of every time he's been to, he lets out a calm sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden has been lifted off his shoulders. 3 minutes to midnight. Just a few decades ago, it would have been so much harder to attract enough attention at this hour. Times have changed rapidly, and so have the patterns of human behavior. It seems modern man has all but abandoned the concept of night and day. The combined experience of so many generations, the bright minds of so many humans, all accumulating in this urban jungle that never sleeps. Who would have thought that this crowning achievement would one day be the cause of their downfall? You speak like you have respect for life, but to me your words are mockery. I can sense the malice in them. That is because I do not like it here at all. Or, allow me to rephrase that, I deeply despise this city. The people had a chance to realize the truth as I did, but they were overwhelmed by the details of prosperity, lulled by the shallow promise of superficial comfort, and they gladly succumbed to it without a hint of resistance. At the smallest sight of something just a tiny bit bigger, better, smarter, greater than them, people instantly become blind, proud, and irreverent, unwilling to accept an even higher level of truth, set in their ways and satisfied with their puny existence. In their eyes, they already have enough miracles. Look down at this city. All of these splendid little lights are just another charade of arrogance. Once a being that is transcendence itself is revealed, they will all realize they were ants trapped inside the pathetic little anthill all this time. They have long made their choice, whether knowingly or not. What is done, and their role now is simply serve as the light that ushers in the ultimate truth. You seem very certain of what you're doing. Such is the difference between us. You lack vision and determination. The gap between us is more apparent than ever. The use of words ends here. If there's any doubt left in your mind, let what happens next tell you everything. He turns away, never to look at me again. The darkness pulsating in the vast sky has reached a greater scale by now. I realize what this means, even though I can't see it clearly yet. It is the same presence, the same apparition in the sky that brought doom and despair down on Torah during the city's final moments. Without Dan's passageway and Yasmin's last push, I would have been able to see more of what was going to happen after. I never did. I can't help but think that, despite my morbid curiosity, it was for the best. But the light that appeared before me is different this time. It is still dense with something deeply unsettling, but the true fear comes more from personal experience, not from one's own dreadful imagination of what will happen next. Having experienced it before, it is easy to sense that something is missing this time. It is no doubt powerful, but somehow it still feels less oppressive on the soul. At Torah, it felt like a sea anemone discovering a whale swimming overhead for the first time. Now, it is still a whale, but it is more like looking at a picture of it rather than it actually being there. These images, they are also part of your deception, aren't they? To us, the logic of it is chaotic and impossible to grasp. It acts more like a natural disaster that sweeps everything away. It has never chosen to start anything, and never known what it means to stop. Perhaps it just doesn't care. It is impossible for me to directly use its arrival to ignite the shining light of fear. All sense of order on Earth as we know it would dissipate into nothingness long before that. Emotions such as fear would drift away into insignificance, thus interrupting the core principle of the ritual, a paradox, if you will. That is why I needed its shadow. I need the idea of its existence, not the fact. This will allow me to drain enough fear from the city. It draws itself across 3 dimensions. It is indeed a trick, a deception, as you so bluntly put it. Afterwards, things will go to their pure, unadulterated way, as was always intended. Do you expect a thank you from me for being so honest? You speak of honesty as if it's such a high virtue. Lies are just a tool, and everyone in this city will be deceived by me, not just like you. I know all about your petty tricks now. Yes, so what? What's done is done. Even if I confess every single thing to you, nothing changes. Everything has been decided, so what could you possibly do? Please, take a close look. Stop lying to yourself. Do you see? It has already begun. As he speaks, the sky changes once again. The darkness that fills the sky is distorting the light, like a curtain obscuring the view. The clouds start to fade away, and the night sky clears as the sound of a bell rings out. Though there are still a few clouds left above, nothing about them looks remotely natural. Structures emerge, strange shapes descending from above. Initially, there are circles, many of them, without luminescence, without reflection. These pure, perfectly round circles shimmer in the sky, going on and on and on, forming a strand of shapes eclipsing even the size of the Milky Way. Their numbers are daunting, beyond any measure or comprehension. They are piled up on top of each other, appearing and disappearing, moving as erratically as film scratches on an old movie screen. They completely take up the whole night sky. No doubt people out there must have noticed them by now, probably overcome with a sense of disbelief at the sight of this geometric intrusion. This flood of imagery redefines what chaos and disorder means. However, things become more chaotic when these circles suddenly begin to show that bizarre color, a visual impact that defies our understanding of sight. Tora's nightmare resurfaces. No, this is not a tangible appearance. This whole presence is just an illusion, a faint hint of what could be. It is only observing the scene from an infinite distance away. The actual thing has not invaded this world yet, and the deliverer's words are proof of that. Yes, it is an illusion. Simply an illusion, not real. But it's still... At last, the curtain has been pulled back. Huh? Hey! Hey! Look, what is that? Where? Oh my god, it's gigantic! Look, there's another one up there! Another what? Is that an eye? My god, it's everywhere! By virtue of its unfathomable size and writhing chaos, that being occupies the whole firmament. How is what you surely must be asking yourself right now. An illusion, even if it is merely a picture, is still a picture of the original, an imprint of the actual thing, so to speak. An approach a little too clumsy for my taste, but one that has proven to be effective. I never thought you'd actually make it this far. You saw what I did at Tora. Surely this cannot be much of a surprise to you. I am fully aware that you have retrieved your memories. Your eyes cannot deceive me. Instead of the life-draining illness that generated fear back then, it will be these images this time. I'm certain the effect won't be much different. I still sense a hint of modesty in your voice. Do you think it's a little late for that, with you being the man who brought on the end of days? I am simply happy, as you should be able to tell. Oh, believe me, I can see that. The question is, how long will that happiness last? Are you worried that I, like you, will not be able to accept annihilation? Let me assure you, I honestly do not think it's that big of a deal. Keep in mind my true goal, having decided to break the thin boundary between life and death. It is, of course, perfectly normal to encounter a little confusion in the process. Do our thoughts breathe? Is there a heartbeat to what we are thinking? In the end, tying one's will to one's life has been nothing more than a shallow, wishful thinking from the very beginning. Bearing that in mind, there is absolutely no need for you to panic. Just think about it from a different perspective, and we will soon meet again in a whole new world. No, I can't say that I care I can't say that I care about that at all. Oh, is that so? You are proving to be more interesting than I thought you would be. Damn right. I'm curious to see how much longer you'll keep up the gloating. I am not sure that I understand what you mean by that. I'm just giving you some advice, that's all. Doesn't look like you prepared a backup plan for when things go wrong. Are you implying that I'm going to fail? Who knows? Surely you must be joking. The bells have chimed, the sky is overcast, and we are standing on top of the tallest building in the city. Every single detail is in accordance with the conditions required for the ritual. The path I am on leads to success. Whether you like it or not, it is only a matter of time before I get there. At the smallest sign of you trying to interfere, my partner here will be more than happy to stop you with as much force as is required. Please, stop. That hurts. Finally see the difference between us. How about putting a brake on that confidence of yours? Sure, you have been meticulous in your planning, but that's not the reason you got to where you are now. There's nothing I could have done. You used trickery and powers you don't even comprehend to get to this point. I'm just a puny little human, aren't I? How great it must feel for you to have outdone me. Quite right. It seems you are starting to accept things for what they are. You cannot sway the outcome, especially not in your current unfortunate position. Yeah, but I may not need to. I won't pretend to be the hippest kid on the block. Those days are long gone. But I saw your gray hair, so tell me, when did you last browse the internet? Whoa, is this some kind of ad? Strange case files. I feel like I've heard it somewhere before. Do you remember? Oh yeah, now you mention it.
Wait, so that scary-looking thing up there is part of the ad? Seems like it. Some new form of projection technology? It looks awesome.
True wisdom never goes out of style. What you consider useless advancements in our modern day holy grail. Wait, what you consider useless advancements is our modern day holy grail of knowledge. You may not understand it with that twisted brain of yours, but the world has long since moved on from transmitting wisdom through physical feats. Your train of thought is as outdated as stone carvings. Nowadays, myths and miracles become carefully preserved records. People are armed with science to try to explain everything. You may consider it worthless, but it's far from it. It is the unknown that scares us. Why do you think we've been looking for more efficient methods of passing on knowledge for so many centuries? Our understanding of what things actually are is no longer dependent on their simple presence and witnessing them. We've come a long way, and inherent skepticism is one of our greatest blessings.
Oh, so that's what that is. Whoa. They must have timed this perfectly for Christmas Eve. A little earlier wouldn't have hurt their marketing. What? I don't know this game. Oh my god, this must be a AAA title. Just look around, it's everywhere. I've never seen an advertising campaign of this size for any game ever. It seems a little too hyped up. It must be a true geek. I can't say I know all too much about that game. Me neither, but hey, this ad is really impressive. I'm tempted to go snag a copy just to see what all the fuss is about. Let's go home for now. The others are probably waiting for us to join them. Come on. Oh yeah, you're right. Slow down, wait for me. Go outside, look, what's up? Something big is going on. Details? See for yourself.
We have our limits as human beings, and we are indeed foolish, isolated, and lack knowledge. However, that's just the natural limitation of being human. While it is true that most people are not mentally prepared, the various tools we have at our disposal have filled the world with superhuman beings we couldn't have imagined in the past. A video game, Hermitage, Strange Case Files. This modern age has long since become a vast ocean of knowledge and information, because our ears and eyes have become sensitive to everything around us, soaking up every little piece of information. With the current rate at which so much information is broadcasted on a daily basis, no one has the time and patience to think about whether what they've heard is true or not. We can easily manipulate how they interpret information. I don't share your obsession with knowledge. I don't need to. Wouldn't want to. I don't need to create a false truth for myself. I can just explain what I need to an underage hacker girl, pay her 3 packs of instant noodles, and watch things take their course. All without leaving a trail of cold bodies, unlike you. Done my research as a video game promotion, and we're not fighting this battle alone. We have creativity. Everyone has it. It is almost an innate talent of every human being, especially when it comes to entertainment, which is a waste of time in your eyes. I remember our talks about the theater and art, and you are indeed very knowledgeable. However, you never quite understood the most crucial aspect of it all. No matter which form art assumes, it is always in pursuit of reality.
What's going on there? Is this the end of the world or what? How can you not know about this? Have you been living under a rock? Strange Case Files? That's actually a promo for a game? A light show?
People all over the city are now bathing in a phosphorescent light, the size of which they've never seen before. Happy, intimidated, and confused, all sorts of feelings circulate. Everyone is staring at it together, taking in this breathtaking, unexpected surprise.
Looks kind of gross, to be honest. It looks super cool. Is the game out already? What an awesome ad! Wow, what the hell is this?
Among all the things they are to worry about in this world, the end of days seems to be a bit lower on the list than Christmas dinner.
So many people, it's getting crowded. Come over here. Maybe I should call the police? Watch it, idiot. Huh? What's the matter? Someone just stepped on my foot.
You may be right in saying that the city's horizons are too small to ever contain the truth. But perhaps it is thanks to our narrow horizons that we are capable of protecting ourselves in the face of this looming reality.
This is not how things were supposed to be.
Perhaps influenced by all the emotions in the air, the ghastly pile of flesh that's supposed to restrain me forgets all about its task. I pull it away from me with all the strength I can muster and approach the deliverer, who's still standing at the edge of the rooftop with a troubled expression on his face. Everything you prepared made sense. Humans are not tough or smart creatures, and even the empty shell of something they don't know is enough to fill them with fear. Even right now, people down there are probably terrified of what they're seeing. But it's no different to them than watching a horror movie.
How could you break my ritual? Who gave you this knowledge?
Knowledge? That's the word. That's the wrong word, I'm afraid. I'm just as ignorant to all of this as you were when you first met me. But that doesn't matter anymore. These days, I'm able to form my own ideas.
Ideas? This was just an idea of yours?
Thankfully, we had a little time left after discovering your real plan. From that moment on, we focused all our efforts on preparing for it, and we made it just in time. Even if you're painfully old-fashioned and despise this modern world, you must have heard of video games, right? I've been so busy and stressed out trying to get everything done in a month that it cost me some of my precious hair. Luckily, we at Hermitage know how to do a job right. That's partly because of your help, too. However, truth be told, I can't say it's the most interesting story ever told. The main character is an unlucky guy who runs into all kinds of supernatural trouble. The real deal, too. He makes great friends along the way, without whom he probably wouldn't stand a chance. After successfully solving a multitude of nerve-wracking cases with his friends, all of the clues finally led to the true evil mastermind, the Overlord hiding behind the curtain, who was the true culprit all along. His ultimate plan is to summon a great a godlike entity, by holding a ritual in the center of the city on Christmas Eve. Just how corny and cliche is that? Hold on a minute. Of course, something like that can't just be created from nothing. It takes time and effort, and lots of it. I pull from my pockets the results of Scarlet and Justin's efforts and show them to my speechless nemesis. We had to make use of all of our connections to make what you're seeing now a reality. Our ads are on bestseller lists. They are internet radio discussions of our stories, videos, and articles. You name it. You could say business is booming from a marketing standpoint. The point something big is bound to happen in the city on Christmas Eve has always been the game's biggest gimmick. You think they're satisfied now? He looks down at the bustling city lights, his expression wrought with troubles. The special effects are truly remarkable. Where else would anyone ever find such a powerful projector? A projector that can put a picture across the sky above an entire city probably hasn't been invented yet. This is not an advertisement. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I really don't want to kick you while you're down, but you've been working for us for a long time. I'm almost tempted to call you our head of marketing. Though they are nothing but phantom-like images, untold mysteries dwell behind them. People can tell when something defies their understanding. It is their natural instinct to be scared of what they don't know. So what? In today's climate, when are we ever not afraid of something? Throughout time, humans have learned to cope with their fear of the unknown. We all deal with it in our own way. This is just another experience to these people. New entertainment products are released every day. We love to come up with ways to distract ourselves, be it through fear or fun. When tomorrow's news reports come in, something else will have happened somewhere on the globe that will trouble people far more than a fancy video game ad. You are saying they can just ignore all of this? It's simply ridiculous. How illogical. Don't fry your brain over this. Logic has nothing to do with it. It's simply the way we humans are. We're like ostriches in that we love to bury our head in the sand at the smallest sign of stress or pressure. That's how we cope with reality. You can't possibly wake up to someone who is only pretending to be asleep. I just gave all these people an excuse to keep lying to themselves. Don't look down on the hopelessness of modern man. It's an underestimation you'll pay dearly for. This light, it's already started. Are you sure it'll be fine? Someone's bound to notice something's wrong. As long as it doesn't cause widespread panic, it won't attract the real thing. At least that's what the professor said. We've come this far already, so let's trust his judgment on this one. When did you start calling that man professor? Huh? What do you mean? It's okay, never mind. I guess I just didn't expect his solution to be a problem of this magnitude to be so absurd. He pulled me straight out of class and made me skip school just so I could
with this preparation for him. I've never seen him so insistent before. But you never complained about it, did you? Of course not. I believe in you. I trust you. I think you are much better at handling these situations than I am. I admire that. Am I? Everyone is doing their best. I'm just trying to help out as much as I can. And that's it? And that's it. Cecile. That's exactly why I never complained.
There seems to be some big news. Blog posts have been popping up all over the place.
I promised you, didn't I?
It's awesome. I thought you guys were just bragging.
No, when I say something, I mean it. You think we'd reserve the whole sky for a simple fluke?
I'll let you in on a little secret. When you told me that you wanted to change the whole game from the ground up, I was pretty tempted to blackmail you.
Can't say that surprises me. I would have probably had the same idea.
Anyway, I trust that you know what you're doing. Remember to tell Justin he still owes me dinner.
Sure thing. But tell me, what made you decide to agree to all of this?
6 years ago, there was a spill from a chemical plant near here. My mother was one of the victims. If the verdict had been delayed any longer, our family would have been crushed by the medical bills. It's still a touchy topic in the community to this day. I'm indebted to the man who made the rounds to talk to the victims. I even thought of running away from home to learn from him at one point. A little too late for it now, I guess.
So, he's done this before.
He's got charisma, you know. He talked me into helping you.
That sounds just like him.
I don't know why he changed jobs. You should have a talk with him. If anyone's able to persuade him, it's you. There's always a story to be told, and the truth has to come out at some point.
I know. We'll do our best.
We certainly will. I'll go take a few more pictures.
A story that must be told. It's a never-ending one, if you ask me. Congratulations. Your plan was a big success, right? Thanks to you, we wouldn't have been able to pull this off without your help. And we enjoy selling more books. It's certainly more fun to do something if everyone makes a profit from it. And truth be told, we are very interested in the advertising agency you are working with. You're interested in their technology, right?
It's pretty much the same thing. That whole performance just now was really intimidating.
I'll ask around for you, but they have some special requirements that probably can't be solved with money.
Is it a big secret?
Please do me a favor and don't ask me any more questions about that.
Well, suffice to say that I envy you.
Envy me? Although we were able to make a small splash this time, we are still far from being as astute as you are in terms of your work.
I didn't mean it in a business sense. After working in publishing and distribution for so long, I started to wonder how long it's been since we've witnessed a true miracle. We often say that working on advertising campaigns is a powerful profession, but a job is a job and it's never that divine. That's what I've always believed, but today you showed me that such things really do vary from person to person.
Have you lost your confidence?
Let's say it's renewed my fighting spirit. After 5 or 6 years in business, I finally discovered how high I can set my goals.
Good luck with that.
Thank you for this interview.
Say what you will about miracles. You're the ones who caused this one. Hang in there, heroes.
Anyway, we'll be here for a few days, so try to get along. What is this? You should have told me before there would be a kid.
Huh? Never figured you for someone who hates kids. Stupid brute. You got something against me, then why not say it to my face?
No need to jump at my throat. As long as you don't become a nuisance, we're good.
You sure? Then why don't you explain it to her, slowly?
Well, hello. I'm Mr. Dan, and I don't have a single problem with you, okay? I'm sure we'll be good friends. This is...
Nobody likes you. I'm scared. How heartwarming. Hey, fix your mess. Come on.
Hey, guys. What's all this about?
Hey, big dumb fella.
What is it?
Next time we go to the auditorium to pick up Yasmin, are you sure you're okay with that?
I guess this is what you'd call a sensitive subject, right?
Come on, no dawdling. Simply treat her like a daughter. Your nationality doesn't matter. Don't take yourself so seriously.
You don't understand, but I wouldn't expect you to.
If it's too much trouble, I can come along and help you.
No, it's fine. I'll go.
Huh?
I can't just keep making silly faces forever, can I? I still have a level of emotional intelligence, you know? It doesn't make sense to keep running away like this.
Wow, that almost sounds...
You didn't hear a thing, alright? Anyway, just leave it to me.
Yeah, but don't come running to me if you regret it later.
The auditorium. It's this way, right?
Mister, did you like my singing?
It was great. You're such a good kid.
I am. I'm such a good kid.
Yes, you're the best.
I'm so happy. Are we going home now?
We'll be home soon. Let's wait for the others, okay?
Okay.
Good girl. I'll buy you some candy later.
Dad says I can't eat too much sugar.
Really? What should we do instead?
Mr. Dan, when I grow up, can I visit Sophie? I want to play with Sophie.
You mean Sophia? Okay, it's a deal. Yasmin, what's wrong?
No. Thought will be over. Discovered.
Who are you?
Tension not necessary. Body just borrowed. She still, one moment, will be back. But help needed. Here, danger, need, investigation. But interference, can't, freedom, action.
I don't see any reason why I should agree to help you.
You have reason. Yes, for sake of Yasmin. Promise. Her safety would be danger.
Okay. Let's be clear, though. I don't trust you. What do you mean, stay put? Explain this to me.
Dan, don't do this.
Though we have very little time and no way of knowing what the person who took the artifact wants. That's why it's even more important that he doesn't notice the change in circumstances. He's still in the dark, and the only way we'll have an opportunity to learn more about what's going on is if we make sure it stays that way. Followed by a fight to the death? Is that what you expect? To throw our lives away? There's a limit to what you can ask of us. It's the best option we have. With everything that has taken place at the school, you don't think we can just keep quiet and run away from it all, do you? But there has to be a way to get out of here without Yasmin having to suffer through all this. I won't have her be used like this. Calm down. We'll only be truly safe once the problem's been solved. Whether it's us or Yasmin, everyone here is in the same boat, so don't get carried away.
That almost sounds like something a villain would say.
I can't accept this. Whatever you want me to do, don't ask me to do nothing. Doing nothing. That's an actual strategy itself in a way, isn't it? Oh, I know you're worried about Yasmin's safety. However, a little patience goes a long way. Get a good night's sleep, everyone. I'm afraid we won't get much sleep tomorrow if things go according to plan.
Mister, did you get in a fight?
Oh, no, nothing like that.
Oh.
So, Yasmin, if anything seems strange at the rehearsal tomorrow, you have to run outside the school immediately. Do you hear me?
I'm going to visit my friend Sophie.
That might be a bit difficult right now, I'm afraid. But don't worry, we'll protect you. What have we done?
Mister, I'm not feeling well.
Stop talking. Come on, take a deep breath.
Give up. This is because of your companion's recklessness. Fortunately, there's nothing you can do now, even if the being in contact with this child is more than capable.
You, get out of here. Say something snarky.
Really? I do think that there are some constructive proposals here. Your name is Dan, right? If I told you there was a way for this child to escape her fate, would you help me accomplish it? It's really quite simple. Don't let it happen if you don't want to see the result.
What did you say?
I can help you survive this impending doom. However, even with my experience, there's no guarantee that you will still be yourself afterwards. The choice is yours. If you have already made up your mind, come with me.
It's that simple. Just give them an answer and they won't consider any other possibilities. It's just a game? The explanation itself doesn't really matter. As long as they believe that a human was capable of doing it, the rest of the problem basically solves itself. Dan doesn't respond immediately. The giant man is just standing there, rigid as a statue. He couldn't move even if he wanted to. Zack looks at his silent opponent and lets out a sigh of relief. They all experienced a crash landing just now. While Zack and the others were closing in on Dan as a distraction, Cecile promptly activated a mechanism they prepared in advance. Neko positioned a dangerous chemical on the factory beams. After being ignited by an electric spark, it can reach a detonation speed of 10 kilometers per second, and the results are predictable. The floor of the abandoned factory that once carried tons of manufacturing equipment is incredibly thick. It's absurd to think that such a layer of reinforced concrete should be held up by a single human being. As it turns out, Zack is underestimating Dan's abilities. After the floor gave way beneath him, the giant man fell into the basement below the factory. However, Zack has reason to believe that this wouldn't cause Dan much physical pain. Since puncture wounds don't seem to bother him, a few meters of free-for-all probably wouldn't do him any harm either. Dan's behavior has become completely irrational. However, since he persisted in going after Zack, this ending was inevitable. Zack's goal remains the same. After all, these weapons, traps, and setups serve only one purpose: to stand up against Dan as long as possible. Although the process wasn't quite what he expected, it yielded the required results, at least for the time being. Crap. I'm being treated like a circus monkey. Don't be like that. A monkey was once pretty much in the same position you're in now. That guy had a whole bunch of people fooling around too. Cut the crap. Just give up. There's no point in dragging this thing out any further. We've tampered with all the beams and columns in this factory, and if you keep struggling, you're just going to get stuck even more. At least that's what Neko said, Zack adds silently. Zack can't see the window from this angle, but the boy can imagine the chaos and confusion all the smoke and dust will have caused outside. The whole plan worked surprisingly well. They probably brought down 2 whole floors. More fortunately, Dan landed in the middle of the room, so the impact didn't cause any more chain reactions, allowing Zack to teeter on the very edge of the destruction. We've been working all month to catch you. You're not going to get out of here this time. You really didn't think you could trap me like this, did you? We almost succeeded in Torah. You haven't forgotten that, have you? The liquid nitrogen? I didn't think you had any brains. I might be just a brute fool, but I have help. I couldn't get everything in this building ready by myself. You're not going up against me. You're going up against all of us. That's the difference between us. Your memory doesn't seem to be very useful, and I have friends of my own. Come on, don't lie. If your friend had really done his job, I wouldn't be standing here right now. That tells me he's in big trouble. You're going up against all of us, not just me. And yet your oh-so-great store manager is nowhere to be seen. You've been with him longer than I have. You should know he's not the emotional type. Yeah, I know. Dan seems to be losing his will to fight. He's still upright, but his momentum is slowing down. The stinging sensation on Zack's skin finally subsides, and he can't help but breathe a sigh of relief. In truth, he's not so sure what to do next. According to Neko, the factory's beam support structure is much sturdier and heavier than it looks, but Zack can't just let Dan be found here among the rubble and wreckage. He could also continue following the plan and work with his companions to empty the liquid nitrogen tanks hidden in the corner of the room one by one, chipping away at Dan slowly but surely. That plan sounds cowardly and inhumane, but it is the least risky way to go about it. If that doesn't work, nothing else will either. Looking at the motionless opponent in front of him, Zack can't reconcile it with his heart to give his companion the execution order. Suddenly, Dan calls out to Zack in a soft, almost fatherly voice. Kid, come here. What? Hey, don't make a move. I'm telling you. Shut up and come here. What is he trying to do? Dan's expression is stern and serious, a far cry from the one he was wearing only 5 minutes ago. Crushed under so many bricks and tiles, there shouldn't be any way for him to cause so much trouble as before. This is probably as safe a time as any to approach him. After weighing his options, Zack decides to trust his archenemy one more time. Will he fight back? Is he just going to hurl insults at him? Or does he have a backup plan and wants to stall for time? Zack repeatedly goes through all the different possibilities in his mind. He controls his breathing and moves carefully, minimizing any potential danger by paying them the utmost attention. No problem. Everything should be fine. There's no problem. He's now standing dangerously close to his opponent. Just say what you have to say. I'm listening. How nice of you to consider yourself a winner so quickly. I'm serious. I remember you saying that you were willing to give yourself up for your goals. That's right, although I didn't really give up in the end. There was something in the water you gave me back then, wasn't there? Thanks. Ha, don't worry about it. You were never meant to be one of them. I was just saving your life out of curiosity. Do you regret it? I never regretted it. I never have, and I never will. Talking about curiosity, what would you do if you had to choose again? Give yourself up? Help a friend? How little you care about yourself. I saw that long ago. There's no need to prove it again. But right now, at this point, are you still willing to sacrifice everything to help others? I didn't think you were the kind of guy to ask such silly questions. That's because it comes down to this. You choose to be with them, and I choose to be with them. That's why we're not the same. I don't get it. We're not the same, but you still have a chance to switch sides. Things have a way of working out, just not the way you want them to. I don't think she wants the world to be the way you want it to either. No one fits into that world, and no one will be happy there. Yasmin doesn't want anyone to be sad. I don't believe that. I wouldn't have believed it either. I don't know her that well, but the manager came out of this whole thing alive, and I wouldn't have believed that either. Become me. What did you say? Join me, and you'll never have to betray anyone again. What? You don't have the guts to do it? So that's what you're after. Well, I'm not doing it. Trying to find a way to coexist peacefully, and you're getting in the way of that. If you want to keep lying to yourself, that's fine. But don't treat everyone else as if they're a coward like you. Coexist, huh? We sure are different. That's true. I don't need to say it another 3 or 4 times, do I? Okay, fine. Dan smiles oddly. Then, prove yourself in a different way. Along with the grim man's words, something happens that Zack never expected. The world is shaking. What? An earthquake? That's the first thing that comes to mind, but it's quickly overruled by Zack's rationality. That would be pretty random, and Dan's appearance clearly had something to do with it. Boy, don't forget I'm still a human being. Even if you restrict me like this, I have my mind. Can you pull a crooked beam by mind power alone? Don't make me laugh. Who knows? Since we're human, it's normal for us to use tools, right? It just so happens that my whole body is a borrowed tool. Although it takes him a while to understand what Dan means by tool, Zack is beginning to get the full picture now. It is true that Zack's companions haven't tampered with all the beams and supports, but that doesn't mean the factory can't withstand a large hole being blown open in its center. They calculated that Zack could safely escape from all of this, but that was in regards to the building's slow planned collapse, not its random destruction. If the damage is greater and more rapid than expected, who knows how long the decrepit building will last. And that is what's happening right now. Hey, don't be ridiculous. This whole place is gonna collapse. And you think I care? Dan laughs mockingly as he moves. All the supporting columns in the factory start shaking, rocked to their very foundation. It's clear that they did the demolition job a little too well. Crap, Fatty, run! This place is collapsing! Panic, the one and only thing Zack can remember to do is call out to his friend's name. But where can they run to? The whole building is coming down, and Zack can't even find a stable spot to stand on except for right where he is right now. And that spot, too, is about to crumble away under his feet any second now. Help! Zack hears the desperate cries and pleas for help. In a situation like this, the higher you stand, the greater the danger. Fortunately for his companions, they are high up and not with him in the hole that burst open during the collapse. Before Zack has a chance to react, a pillar crashes down in the direction of the anguished cries for help. Smoke and dust rise up, and suddenly there are no more cries from that direction. Shit! Zack is in a panic, but panic won't solve any of his problems right now. There are so many things to look out for. How about it? Who are you gonna help? Shut up! Why is this happening? Why? Zack digs his nails into his palms as he clenches his fists. In the midst of the collapse, surrounded by debris and destruction, one single arrogant laugh can be heard. This is your limit. No matter how much you want it, no matter how much you tell yourself, playing the hero won't suddenly make you grow wings. You're nothing more than a sad sacker. Zack's words stop abruptly. Something is happening to Dan that he didn't see coming. After the structure collapsed, the weight of the bricks and tiles descend upon everyone, even Dan. And it gets worse. Some containers that were stored away in the corners of the room have been smashed open by falling rocks and are spitting large amounts of cold air. The beams are tilting toward the giant man, the crumbling walls weighing down on his body, one after another. Dan looks like the mythical Hercules, holding up a concrete mass above his head, his feet almost sinking into the ground. The weight keeps building, and Dan is struggling to hold it up, his smile growing even more tense by the second. Wait,
That means...
He can be killed this way. Reality has come crashing down on Dan's dwindling flesh as if to prove his hypothesis. Dan's muscles are reaching their breaking point, the veins throbbing under his flaming skin. The bones of the giant man are cracking as much as the building around them, playing a symphony of destruction. A human body cannot support an entire building. Even so, Dan is smiling. Ha ha ha! Get used to this. There'll be a lot more of this in the future. Just wait and see what happens. His body is falling apart alongside everything else. It isn't a purely physical disintegration, but a sort of gradual necrosis from the inside out. And Zack can hear Dan's body making squelching sounds as it turns less and less human.
Hey, don't just decide to die. Do you hear me?
If this is how I die, then I'm fine with it. This is a human death. Without enough supporting pillars, everything comes crashing down at a rapid rate. The ceiling is like a black canopy of death, coming down onto the giant man beneath it.
Don't play around. You haven't paid your debts yet. Come out here and settle the score with me.
Zack picks up the steel rod from the ground and sticks it beneath the concrete as a makeshift support beam next to Dan. But his efforts are as futile as his furious cursing. In response to the teenager's yells, the giant man makes a final wicked declaration. I'll be waiting for you, kid.
Wait! Shit. Are you kidding me?
Okay. He can hear the vague cries of his companion and rapid footsteps approaching him through the mounds of broken bricks and tiles. Zack breathes a sigh of relief at the news that his friend survived, if only just.
I'm not dead. I didn't get crushed. What? Were you hoping I would be? I'm just kidding.
Somehow, the happiness Zack should be feeling right now doesn't come. Zack has always been aware of his physical strength. His legs alone wouldn't have been enough to keep him alive just now. At the last minute, he saw dust and smoke issuing from below him. The ceiling hadn't actually crashed down on them at that point. Some sort of impact lifted him up and forcing him back. I'll be waiting for you, kid. Zack pulls himself up with the help of his friend to inspect the huge trail of destruction behind him. Wreckage, broken walls. There's no room or crevice for a 2-meter tall man to fit into, even though he should technically be buried somewhere under the rubble. What does the last words mean? Zack has no idea. He decides to put that particular problem aside for now. We're actually still alive, all of us.
Hey, could you say that a little nicer?
All right, good job.
Does your phone still work? Tell Neko and the manager.
Are you sure it's over? Despite all of that, he wasn't entirely human, after all. Justin isn't about to let this go, and Zack considers what to say next, hesitating before he answers the detective's question.
That's right. It's over. Everything's solved. It's all over.
Whew. Am I glad that's over. Interviews are rarely pleasant, but Justin feels good about this one. The past 2 months have been the busiest for the detective in quite a while. With the Christmas chaos resolved, the city soon returned to normal. As always, people don't seem to want to raise any more questions than they have to. With the source of it all gone, any interest in what happened quickly subsides and was forgotten about. However, it's not like nobody caught wind of what happened. People have been talking, and everyone at Hermitage has been busy scouring the city for rumors about that night in an attempt to stop them from spreading. Naturally, Justin has been taking this job very seriously. Disguised as a journalist, he establishes contact with people who claim to have seen strange things on Christmas Eve. During these conversations, he cleverly manipulates them to the point where they no longer are sure what they saw was ever real. It takes a lot of acting skills and talent for improvisation to be deliberately sabotage an interview. After all, Justin knows best whether the rumors are true or not. Surprisingly, this job is easier than he thought it would be. The store manager's gamble paid off. Hermitage's true owner never managed to summon the greater being. And while the terrifying apparitions and images in the night raised suspicions and caused panic, that's all there was. The threat was quickly snuffed out in its infancy. Leave it to smart people to save the world of blissful ignorance. As the deliverer mentioned himself, fear and despair were the fuel he needed, and he wanted citywide unrest. Fortunately, the detective and his friends were able to stop the fear from spreading with the help of a ridiculous, albeit genius, ploy. For a variety of reasons, the game called Strange Case Files was shelved shortly after its release due to its sensitive content. This naturally led to a small wave of conspiracy theories, but nothing the world couldn't handle. There was only so much work that could be done in a month, not to mention the fact that Justin and Scarlett's main focus was on making all kinds of connections. Although the store manager's good writing did appeal to some people, the game's sales were still disproportionately low to its fancy publicity stunt. Even though the production cost was close to zero, after several hasty last-minute changes and adjustments, it received lackluster scores from the gaming press. Fortunately, aside from a handful of frustrated collaborators, the entire production team had no complaints about it. What counts most is that the game had a Christmas chapter. Justin heard from the store manager that within seconds of the advertising campaign, the deliverer suddenly transformed into the indeterminate mass of flesh all of them have come to know all too well. No attack, no attempt to flee. In the end, he ended up a limp, lifeless clump of matter. Justin had imagined countless possibilities concerning their confrontation, as well as all sorts of good or bad endings, but he never thought it would all end so quietly. It exceeded his expectations, but it also made sense. Failure comes at a cost. The man simply did too many things he shouldn't have, and pushed himself and the entire city to the limit with one unimaginable event after another. There's no way to walk away from something like that. Unlike Hildy, the deliverer, doesn't even have a final resting place. At the end of the day, as a final gesture of kindness to a stranger's lost soul driven to madness, they commissioned one of Scarlett's contacts to transport a box full of gooey dead matter to the countryside near Lucerne for a hasty burial. Justin can't really even remember the man's face. He only met him once, and his words were just as strange and enigmatic as the man himself. Although the words themselves seemed genuine, they were, in hindsight, less sincere than even the most hypocritical of lies. However, mistakes of the past and the associated remorse are starting to lose their importance. As time goes on, it becomes obvious that seeking blame in the past amounts to nothing. When it comes down to it, Justin is satisfied with the outcome and wouldn't change it for the world. Cecile returned to Phoenix High to continue her studies in earnest. Her wounds were finally starting to heal, much to her relief. Isn't it strange how long a simple injury from a bike accident can last? With her newfound courage and open approach, her interpersonal relationships healed even quicker than the wound. Though Eloise had her hands full with her final exams, there's still always a place in the art club for Cecile. It came as no surprise that things didn't go quite so well for Zach. After skipping a lot of classes for no apparent reason in order to participate in investigations, the school is watching him with an eagle's eye and has arranged for a teacher to accompany him at all times to prevent him from slacking off. He still has no plans to ever be a regular student. Zach is still using his connections to help investigate any lilac grass that may have been left behind at local schools, and is also looking for a place where some companions of his, who don't exactly have it easy, can peacefully settle down. So far, no one has found a way to restore the body of someone who has fully transformed. Justin and Scarlett managed to intercept a transformative device. They got bagged as evidence from the police station, but the maker of the device never designed it to operate in reverse. Offering these poor people good lives is a daunting task. Although the shacks on the city outskirts are a good temporary solution, it will take a lot of effort for them to live a life free of social contempt. Neko is still staying at Hermitage, but the store manager can't seem to stand the thought of someone living an even sloppier lifestyle than he does. He has only recently managed to clear out a little space on the second floor so that Neko can have a relatively normal living environment, at the very least. Taking care of the little girl isn't all too hard for the store manager, especially now that he's no longer bound to the store. In fact, Neko is the most active of the group. She has managed to completely break off her relationship with her former guardian and is now focusing on the aftermath of Christmas Eve. Justin has had a few serious conversations with her about the future, but it's clear that the little devil has been a nomad for far too long. She will never be satisfied with sticking to a regular routine. The best the detective has managed to do is to get her to have a look around and Google some stuff. There's still a long way to go before she will ever attend school. Scarlett and the store manager, on the other hand, have been busy interfering with the disposal of the abandoned factory's ruins. Naturally, the housing and development department isn't happy to have come in and tell them what to do for no valid reason, but with their connections and their ability to talk circles around people, they have been successful with their plans so far. Simply put, too many secrets are hidden behind those walls that must never be allowed to leak out. The most troublesome thing is that even though there is a mountain of confidential documents about it, no agency officially has stepped forward yet, which frustrates them to no end. Justin knows that there are some things buried there that the two definitely won't miss, such as Dan's body beneath the rubble or the spirit transfer device. Letting go of those is the easiest thing in the world. So naturally, the workload of the Maxine Law Firm, or Maxime Law Firm, has been dumped on Justin. He doesn't know how to feel about that yet, but his first impression is not good. Now that I think about it, it's been quite a while since we last saw each other. Cecile and Zach are still students after all, and can't bend their schedule to their liking just like Justin can at his job. Because of that, when the winter holidays come, they hung around the store as often as they possibly could, spending time with the store manager and helping with the aftermath of it all. Because of everything that happened, both Neko and Justin are flooded with more side jobs than ever before. They also help Scarlett keep the office clean, a task by itself is enough to make Justin feel as if he's rapidly building or balding from the stress. However, even when you are busy at work, you should always find time to do something meaningful for yourself every day. He returns to the place that has become somewhat of a second home to him by now. Hermitage doesn't have a business sign up today, but it's buzzing with even more noise than usual inside. What? How could you forget that? I put it on the shopping list in pink neon letters. Well, it's a New Year's Eve dinner and you're missing vital ingredients. We're so old. Shouldn't you be better than that? Neko, I think there's a strange smell coming from upstairs. Oh, Cecile, don't worry. That's the soup I'm making.
Holy crap, is that normal? Can soup really smell like that?
I'm starting to have my doubts about whether I'll survive this night. Meow.
No matter what the world is like out there, peace and happiness shall prevail today. A celebration of friendship, a warm reunion of inseparable companions bonded by fate. Or bonded by fate. Justin can't help but smile as he opens the door. What's going on in here? You guys starting on without me? No matter what the future holds, the present is something to cherish. Through trials and tribulations, the story of the past year has at last come to an end. Hermitage, Strange Case Files, the end. Alright, that was Hermitage Strange Case Files for Nintendo Switch. Boy, what a weird story. Weird, but in a pleasant way. I have to say, it's very original. To blend so many of like these Lovecraftian, short stories and kind of pull them together, but still forming its own original universe. I think it's a good amount to accomplish. Yeah, I really like the sound and the art. It would have been nice not to have to do every single piece of voice acting, but maybe there was some sort of problem with making arrangements for the multiple languages that this game had to support. I usually don't see a lot of games coming out from Chinese developers. Even though there are a ton of games made, very few of them make their way over to the States for one reason or another. Especially visual novels. There's tons of visual novels out there, but we don't get to see a lot of them. Unfortunately, they don't get localized in any sort of way, and they don't need to. They have audience of millions to sell to. So, yeah, it was very pleasant. I'm very surprised. I wouldn't say this is like on the same level as a Japanese or a Korean visual novel. They have a little catching up to do, mainly because the story is so complicated, and there's so much explanation, and the way that the translation works and how the people talk doesn't make a ton of sense in English. You really have to do a lot of active interpretation on your part in order to really kind of enjoy the breadth of the story. But I can't say that I would not suggest this to people. I mean, if you like occult mysteries, then this is something that I think will please you, even if it is a little struggle to understand once in a while. But yeah, definitely check it out. I'm pretty happy with it. So if you want to check it out, you can check it out on the Switch and the PlayStation, on PC. I think it's also on the Xbox. I'll have to double check, but I think it's also on the Xbox. So yeah, it doesn't matter what platform you have. You can enjoy the story for yourself as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.